Hello there and welcome to today's hypnosis lesson. Now I'm pretty sure you've already guessed, we are going to be working on the second layer of your induction script today. So we're going to make it a little bit more powerful, a little bit stronger, a bit beefier, so that the results of today's lesson will mean that the script that you are creating would hypnotise more people. So what we had yesterday might have done a certain percentage of the population, but we can move that up a couple of notches now, make it that tiny bit more powerful. Now, we are going to use really quite an unusual technique for this kind of hypnosis. We're doing something that we've not talked about yet. It is a confusion technique where we overload a person's conscious mind with nonsense, and it causes them to almost, it almost causes their conscious mind to kind of give up trying to make sense of what's going on, and then the subconscious comes in and it takes over. And at that point, we slip a suggestion in. So while the conscious mind is preoccupied with trying to work out what we've said, the suggestion can sneak past. So that's kind of what's going on here. Now, confusion techniques, as I said, we don't normally do these in progressive relaxation. Where you would most commonly find a confusion technique would really be in street hypnosis. I mean, you don't even really use this too much on stage, but for street hypnosis, this stuff is very, very common. One of the ways that this is used, and it's not the way we're going to use it, but one of the ways this is used is to simply go up to a person and then engage with them in some way by asking them a question and make that question completely nonsensical. And when you do that, it catches them off guard and their mind kind of thinks, oh, I don't know how to compute this, this makes no sense. And they're left in a very uncomfortable situation. They're kind of clutching, looking for something to grab hold to that will bring them back to normality. And the thing that you give them, like a lifeline, is your suggestion. And that suggestion can be anything. It can be go towards trance. It can be a direct suggestion to get them to do something. Now, a very common a question that you could use might be something as simple as, excuse me, could you just tell me how to get to the time, please? Now, that makes absolutely no sense. It's perfectly okay to ask someone directions to somewhere, so you'll have engaged them and they'll be listening to you. But when you then switch halfway through to asking the time, it's going to put them in a very, very unfamiliar situation. They will not know how to deal with that. Now, I'm not suggesting that you go out and you start asking people that question and try to hypnotise them. When we're using those kind of techniques, there is a lot more going on, and we haven't even begun to touch on that yet. So we'll leave all that dynamic stuff till later. But that technique, that idea of confusing a person, it's incredibly powerful. You might have seen it done. There is, Derren Brown kind of uses a little bit of a confusion technique on a routine where he shows that he goes up to somebody, he talks to them for just a few moments, and as a result of just the words that he has said, they very, very readily give up their wallet and their phone to him. Now, he does use confusion, but he also uses a little bit of an interrupt induction. He also uses a lot of subliminal suggestion and persuasion, and there's a little bit of pacing and leading and a bit of rapport in there as well. So, like any hypnotic routine, whether it's a formal or informal induction, there are layers. There are lots of things going on. So confusion alone wouldn't do that. Confusion techniques of that nature, going up to someone in the street and getting them to do something they wouldn't normally do, that's not just the realms of Derren Brown. Derren Brown did not start that. That kind of stuff became very, very popular in the 90s in Russia, where con artists were confusing people in the street and getting them to give away their belongings. Now, of course, when Derren Brown's doing it, it's for a TV show and he gives the stuff back. When it was being done in the 90s in Russia, it was just a method of mugging people. Fascinating that it works, but I'm not an evil hypnotist, and I don't expect you to be an evil hypnotist, so we're going to kind of leave that stuff aside for a moment. But what we are going to talk about is the way that confusion can help with your progressive relaxation induction. There's two ways, rather than just confusing someone with a nonsensical question, there's two kind of more acceptable ways of confusing a person during a more formal hypnotic induction. Now, you do not want to overdo this. If you do a little tiny bit of confusion, it really, really helps. It's almost like their brain is taking a double take. They're not sure what you said, they're trying to process it. It's taking additional power to process the information, and while all that's going on, your suggestions are sneaking into the subconscious. However, If you put too much of this into an induction, you try to confuse them with every sentence that you said, it would have the opposite effect. It'd bring them straight out of the trance, straight out of the relaxation that you've created, and they'd just be looking at you thinking, what are you talking about? This is a load of nonsense. So don't overdo this, just use it really sparingly. The first technique is to marry two sentences together. So it's a little bit like that linguistic bridge. We have one sentence which would be best if it was a pacing sentence, so that's your first one. A sentence which is pacing someone's experience. You are listening to the sound of my voice. Then we have a second sentence which is more of a suggestion, somewhere you want them to go. So you are relaxing deeper into trance. So we can marry those two things together by using the last few words of the first sentence as the first few words of the second one, so they merge into one another. I've got you a little example here. My first sentence, as you listen to the sound of my voice. And my second sentence, the sound of my voice is causing you to relax deeper. Say those two things together, merging them a little bit, and all of a sudden it requires a little bit of extra processing power. Their mind will be going, what happened then? It's almost like they kind of are a little bit unsure of what they heard, and they've got to kind of think about it a little bit more. And it's that extra processing that overloads the conscious mind. So we could say, as you listen to the sound of my voice, it's causing you to relax deeper. Very, very, very simple and very easy to do. Just merge the end of one sentence with the beginning of the next. Now, what I'd like you to do is to think of a few of these examples yourself. Get a pacing statement, which is you are doing this. You are relaxing, your eyes are closed, you're listening to the sound of my voice, you're sitting on the couch, you're wondering how it is that you're going to go into trance. Anything that's going to be pacing the experience that they will be having, link that to something that you want them to experience, which in this situation I would say it's probably best to link it to the idea of becoming more relaxed, and then merge those two things together. So practice doing that. You only really want to do one, possibly two of those in an induction. And the second way that you can merge people. Actually, before I go on to the second way, it's worth saying that on this first way of two sentences together, the word now is incredibly valuable for doing that, because you can almost start any sentence with the word now. So, now, as you listen to the sound of my voice, now, bring your attention to your arms. Now, notice that your legs are relaxing. You can start any sentence with the word now. It sounds completely, it's completely normal. It sounds logical. It's almost expected. But the word now can also be used on the end of a suggestion to kind of turn it into a little bit of a command. So you can say, one sentence can end with become more relaxed. So as you listen to the sound of my voice, you can notice that you become more relaxed now. Bring your awareness to your arms. So we've got one sentence, now bring your awareness to your arms, but we're using that now on the end of the previous sentence to create the command, become more relaxed now. So it's a really simple technique. Try that, use the word now, see how you can include it in yours, and also try and marry some other sentences together. The second technique is by using ambiguous words, so words that have got more than one meaning. Give you an example, the word pause. Pause, as in stop something playing, play pause, that kind of idea. The pores that are on your skin, the tiny little holes, they sound the same. The paws of a cat, its feet. Different words, they all sound the same, have different meanings. If you could include those words into a sentence, the person's subconscious mind would have to think of all the different ways that they could make sense of that sentence to choose the one that is the one that you intended. Now, if you use those words in a little bit of a confusing way, so it could be one, could be the other, it becomes incredibly difficult for their mind to process, and the conscious mind kind of gives up on that. So I'm going to give you two examples, but what I'd like you to do for your homework today is create some of those marriage sentences, so that's part one. Part two is to just think of some words that have ambiguous meanings, so a word that can mean more than one thing. So write out a list of those, and then try and incorporate those into a sentence or a suggestion that you might say to someone while you're hypnotising them in a way that would cause a little bit of confusion, so they're not sure which one of those meanings of that word you're talking about. So I'm going to give you just a couple of examples using the word left as in the left side or left behind, and right as in meaning the right side or as in that's correct, and also an example with the word here as in here and now or hear my voice. So here's the first one with left and right. Relax your left hand now. That's right. So all that's left is the right one to relax completely. That sentence makes perfect sense, but because of the use of the word left and right, people have to think about it. They have to do, the processing takes much more time than normal. So that's a really, really easy way of overloading someone's conscious mind. Here's another sentence for you. Here, as in meaning listen to, or as in meaning here and now. I'll let you decide as I continue. Hear my voice can relax you because it feels so right when all of the other sounds are left behind. So again, I incorporated the left and the right there and also added the additional confusion of the word here. So that's it for today. What I'd like you to do, I'm not going to put those into the script, but that's what I'd like you to do as your homework. Think of a couple of different things that you can create out of those ambiguous words or that confusing merging of sentences, and then just have a little look for your script again and see how you can put those in. The left and the right one, what I would suggest is that when you talk about relaxing the arms, you break that up and you talk about relaxing the left arm and relaxing the right arm, because it is very difficult for someone to focus on relaxing both arms at once. It's much easier if all their awareness is in one side or in the other side. So if you break that down into the left and right side, it enables you to include the words left and right in a confusing way very, very easily. But as I said, don't overdo this. Just have one or maybe two confusing little sentences in there, so don't go over the top. And if you do that, you are going to overload their conscious mind just that tiny bit more. And as we said right at the beginning, it's like adding another pencil. So as we keep adding these pencils, it gets really difficult to break them. And that is exactly the same as adding these new layers into your induction, and it gets difficult for the person to overcome that. So that's all for today. You have a wonderful day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Take care. And please do hit reply on the email that I sent to you and let me know what you think of these lessons, and give me some feedback. Let me know what you'd like to see in future lessons. I do have a set list of all the things that I'm planning to cover. So if you do suggest anything that's not in there, I will very probably create a new lesson specifically for that. So if something you are specifically interested in, please do let me know. But at the same time, give me your feedback on the course so far. Let me know what you think. You take care and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.